Alright, welcome everybody to another edition, another video in this series. We're going to be doing the Barrios today. I did spend some time practicing on it, but before we get started, if you've been watching these live streams and have not subscribed, be sure to hit that subscribe button. If you'd like to make a small donation, if you feel like you've been watching these videos for some time and you feel like you've gotten a lot of useful information and music education, then please consider making a small donation on Patreon. I'm sorry, not Patreon. There's a link in the description that'll send you to a PayPal link where you can make a small donation, or you can subscribe to my Patreon and make it a monthly thing. Entirely up to you. But anyways, today we're going to be doing, like I said, the Estudio that we've been working on. I think this is the 4th session of the Barrios. So one thing I noticed, if you've been watching both series, well, either if you have or you haven't, I guess that's besides the point, but I've been doing 2 series. One for this piece by Barrios, and then one for a Bach prelude. And it's very clear to me that this one, this Estudio by Barrios, is technically a lot more difficult for the left hand. But the Bach is, I would say, more difficult for the right hand, because there's a lot of string crossings, awkward string crossings, and you got to really work out what you're doing for your right hand. But without a doubt, this one is the Estudio is going to require you a lot more just technical mastery of the instrument, whereas the Bach, you can kind of, it's a different kind of, I guess it's a different kind of mastery. The Bach, I think you need to be a lot more, you need to be able to control exactly what it is you're doing. And not to say that you don't need to do that for this one, for the Barrios, but for the Barrios, it's a lot more, you know, how should I say? It just seems a lot more focused. Just the technical aspects in terms of your left hand are it's going to be a lot more demanding. I guess I'll just leave it at that before I start to confuse all of you. But that's what I've noticed. And also, you can pretty much divide this Estudio, the study, into 3 parts: the beginning, the middle, and the end. At least that's the way I've been practicing it. So I would spend an hour practicing the middle, spend an hour practicing the beginning, spend an hour practicing the end, in whatever order or whatever I feel like practicing on that particular day. And I'll just basically, right now what I'm doing is I'm just playing it over and over and over again. The musical aspects I haven't really dug into, so maybe we'll do that. But literally, that's all I'm doing. Playing it again. And I think I almost overdid it because my wrist started to feel it in my wrist a little bit the following day, in one particular day. So I made sure to change it up. Okay, so instead of just an hour on one thing, then let me do half an hour, just so that I'm not repeating the same exact motions for an hour. Not smart, but I was doing that. I guess if you're younger, then maybe that won't be such an issue. But as you get older, you know, I know I'm not that old, but I'm starting to notice that, you know, I need to take it a lot easier than I used to, for sure. And it's just going to progressively get worse as I age. So anyways, I'll just practice each of the 3 sections a couple of times, and, you know, maybe 20 minutes each, and talk to you about what I've been struggling with, all that stuff, you know. So let's go ahead and start with the beginning. I didn't really warm up or anything, so I'm going to warm up as I go. So I'm going to start kind of slow and eventually speed it up without even realizing it. That tends to happen as I start to sort of get the blood flowing. So anyways, enough talking. Let's just go ahead and start playing. Let's make sure my view's good. Okay, everything seems to be right. Am I on the first page? Okay, I'll try to make sure I switch pages when I'm supposed to switch pages, because in the previous stream for the Bach, I was getting really into it. I was getting really excited, and I was forgetting to switch the pages here. So if you're watching, just hit me up in the chat. Hey, switch pages. You're talking about a page that's not on the screen. All right. Okay. So here we go. Estudio number 3. I'll do it nice and slow. Also, actually I should say, first thing, I noticed that I was practicing. When I was practicing, I wasn't playing loud enough. So that's one thing that I don't think I've mentioned yet. When you're practicing this, make sure you play nice and loud, nice and present. Because if you practice, shoot, it's windy again. Across the street, there's a house that burned down, and it's just got a bunch of junk all over the place. And it's got those long 8-foot corrugated metals that you use for roofing. And the wind is blowing towards my house, and the wind is picking up the corrugated metal. Let's pretend this is the piece of metal, and it's hitting the fence. Boom, like this, and it's pushing it up against the fence. So every time I hear that clank, that's what I'm seeing in my head. So a couple of times, 1 or 2 pieces actually went over the fence. So I had to, pick it up and remove it somehow. So anyways, it's a little windy right now. The last couple of days, it's been windy. Anyways, where was I? Practice nice and loud so that you don't end up performing this in a very quiet volume. That's like the worst thing you could do, okay? So here we go. All I'm thinking about right now is playing slow and clean. I'm not thinking about anything musical. Whoops. Okay, the hammer-on right there is really important. I'm making sure that it's at an even volume with all of the notes that I'm actually plucking with my fingers. Let's measure 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. That one's a little bit harder. I could play that a little bit louder. Also, I noticed, this may not pertain to you, but I noticed because my index finger catches a lot, I've mentioned this in a ton of videos and live streams as well. I'm noticing that if I change my angle, that problem sort of goes away. So it's something I've never actually thought about. In all the years I've been playing, I always assumed I got to change the angle of I got to change the shape of the nail. I never once thought maybe I should just change the way I'm playing the string. And I'm noticing once I kind of dial it in, it almost goes away entirely. And then when it does catch, I think it's because my mind isn't thinking about it, and so my hand starts to revert to, the way it's been for the last, long time, for the last 25 years. And that is going to be a hard thing to break, hard habit to change. So, anyways, where was I? I'm going to start on the 3rd staff line. Now, I talked about the slur on this particular measure. The slur that's in this measure that you see is something I wrote in. I wanted to match what it does at the end because you play this exact measure at the end and the slur is written in. And I thought, okay, well, maybe they just missed the slur the first time through. And then I thought about it and I was like, you know what? It's a study. And this isn't the first time it happens in this piece. There's a couple of other measures that are identical, but you play them differently. So what I'm thinking is, maybe that was actually done on purpose. And considering it's a study, maybe it's an opportunity for us to do our best to match those measures while playing them in a different way. So that was my one of my realizations. So actually I should erase that. I'm gonna erase that now. So if you're learning this with me, or if you come across something like this situation where you have the same 2 measures written differently, don't think it's an error. You might want to consider that maybe it's done on purpose, and the point is, think of it like a challenge. Try and be able to play it in more than one way successfully, musically, and obviously without mistakes. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and play from that measure, which is measure 9. This measure in particular, measure 18, that's the same thing as measure 7. I'm sorry, measure 8. So if you look at measure 8, everything's fretted, no open strings, no pull-offs, right? But then if you look at measure 18, same notes, but now we got a pull-off, oops, and 2 open strings, oops. Okay, so that's, consider that again, like I said earlier, a challenge. Okay, so I'm gonna try and make sure both of these measures sound amazing, even though I'm going to be playing them in a different way. So, yeah. So let's go ahead and start on measure 16, 17. I'm speeding up. So there's the first part. So a couple of times, a couple of sections, I just played that for an hour. That's all I did. So this piece in particular is going to require a lot more patience in that you're going to be just having to repeat because it's a lot more technically demanding, right, than the Bach. So you just do it over and over and over. And not a lot of people have the patience for that, you know. But if you can manage to get through it, that'll really train you to just be more disciplined, you know, both in music and anything else. So I'm going to do that again. And you know what? No, I'm going to go to measure 19. So measure 19, I have this. I practice that a lot. Those 2 measures in particular. I did those over and over and over again. And it's still... It could be better, okay? I also practice measure 22. I'm having a hard time listening. When I hammer on, I lift off my pinky, and I'm hearing this. So I'm thinking maybe I should be hammering on and leaving it down. But then I can't get that G to sound. So that's something I've been struggling with. I don't know if any of you have been struggling with that, but I don't know if you heard that, but it's clear as day to me. I could, you know what? I could use my thumb. And then this is just a little, just requires a bit of practice. I've been trying to play it legato by synchronizing my left hand and my right hand. I feel like it's getting a little bit better, but it's just taking a long time. So let me play from, I'm going to play from 19. Just doing one change like that, placing my thumb on that string to avoid that. Oh no. I'm also hearing it, because it's an E, the note that I'm hearing is an E. The 6th string is vibrating along with it. So even if I stop the 4th string, I'm still hearing the E. So how are we going to do that? I could do dun 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 dun. I've noticed I have a habit or a tendency to want to mute all the bass strings when I play this. do it slow. Let me see if I can break this down for you, for those that are watching. So I'm doing this. Stop, stop, stop all the notes. Like this. So I'm doing 3 things. Mute the 4th, mute the 6th, into a mute the bass strings. Is that viable? I don't know. Slowly, yes, I can do it, but at a tempo that I would like to play it at, that might be difficult. No, it will be difficult. The question is it going to be viable? I think I already said that. That's a lot to think about. And then on top of that, trying to make sure that your mind is thinking legato. Oops. That shift is easy. I don't know if any of you are having a hard time with that, but it shouldn't cause problems. Because you have a lot of time. You got 2 open strings there. Open, open. Lots of time to shift. I find that shift to be difficult. This one to this. That's what I would do. That's what I should do. I'll do it right now. I mean, if you were to not do this and just play the piece, eventually the shift won't be an issue. But this just helps to, with a little bit of focus, it speeds up the process. A little bit more tedious, monotonous, but it is going to save you a bit of time. Especially if you don't have a lot of time to practice, this kind of stuff is the way to go. Oops. Okay, and that's pretty much the first part. So I guess let's talk about some musical things. Let's go back to the beginning. Try it again. Now, initially, and from the get-go, it's pretty straightforward in that there's no intro. You just kind of jump in. So I would start, boom, nice and strong. Not... I mean, I guess you could, but on first glance, I would just do that. All right, that's a little too fast. That's not right. I get confused because these measures, like I said earlier, they're written the same notes written in different ways. So I mix them up. I play the wrong fingering, or I kind of combine them into this weird sort of mixture of the two. So it's just a matter of becoming more familiar with the piece. So spending even more time is what I'm really trying to get at. All right, so let's try that again. You could play the first one loud as just not loud, but present, and then maybe the second time you play it a little bit softer, think of it like an echo, just to have some sort of variety. So let's see. Since I can play this part a little bit faster, I'm going to go ahead and do that so you can sort of hear it in context. Oops. I like that. I'm going to actually keep that. So mezzo forte to start. I'm gonna write that in. Piano on the repeat. And then on measure 7, I started to notice I was playing that differently too. I was doing a small decrescendo, I think, into a crescendo. Not a lot of rubato, if you notice. You're just kind of plowing through the notes. Because it's kind of showy. Once you get it good, sorry, not proper English. Once you can play it well, the technical aspects of the piece are going to be very impressive. So it's not going to be as required to have too much musicality. Although it would always be a good thing, right? All right, so let's try that again. Come on. You can also change colors. Didn't think of that either. You can go. Maybe the other way. Up to you, maybe not. I guess with a bit of practice, because playing ponticello, it's not just a matter of here and all of a sudden you can play it. Because once you play over here, the strings are not as springy, I guess you could say. There's more resistance, so that requires a bit of practice in itself. That's hard. Let's see. Oh, okay. The crescendo actually starts on measure 6. Like it's fading away. Like it's I think that's what I'm doing. I'll slow it down. Yeah. It's kind of dipping down. I play this a lot too. And I'm still screwing that up. I'm wondering if maybe not. I'm gonna go ahead and add a crescendo because I had the decrescendo at measure 7 and the crescendo at measure 7. So I'm gonna just erase the decrescendo and just add the crescendo halfway through measure 7 for the rise up to the F sharp in the next measure. I gotta slow it down. I've been playing this a lot too, but it's just, I don't know, seems a bit slippery to me. I would probably do the same thing. Small, slight decrescendo leading into measure 9. And I'll make sure these crescendos are written in. Well, they are written in right now, but I'll make sure that you have the updated versions so you see the crescendos as I begin to add them all. Oh, that's open. That's got to be one big crescendo. One big crescendo. Shoot, there's no room to write this crescendo. I'll just put, no, I'll do it in text. I like to write in the volume chart, needle, hairpin, but there's no room. So I'm just going to write crescendo, abbreviated C-R-E-S-C, ... right at the beginning of this. definitely rubato there. Definitely rubato there. Sorry, I'm kind of getting ahead of myself. I'm not explaining everything. But definitely rubato at the end of measure 14. You could write writ. Now, I don't know if you want a writ, but how would you write that? You can write that in however you want. One of my friends, I remember one of my good buddies, he would write an arrow pointing in the opposite direction. So he'd write an arrow from right to left, saying push back a little bit. So you can write that down, or you could just write rubato. rub. But I'm gonna write writ, but I might change that, writ. So let's see. So by the way, I'm on measure 9. Slow it down. You heard that, but I did slow down on that measure 14, and then I just pick it right back up. I'm gonna put a tempo on the very next measure, and that is measure 13, 14, 15. All right, so if you have any questions, let me know. Just hit me up in the chat. Definitely would like to engage with my audience. Or just, submit a comment at some point later when this video is, when this live stream becomes a video. Okay? Let's see. Where was I? You know what? Let me start on measure 9. You know what? Subito piano on measure 9. Set yourself up so that you can crescendo. How do you do that? I'm just gonna write piano. I'm gonna have to write it out because I do have a letter P already there for the right hand finger. So piano, crescendo. So measure 9 again. I keep wanting to play that G at the end of measure 10 on the 4th string, but it's open. Because in measure 18, you play it on the 4th string. Okay, this is confusing. Measure 9. Slow it down. I told you I would speed up and not realize it. It's exactly what's happening. This might be a little bit of micromanaging, but the F sharp on measure 11. I keep wanting to play that loud as if it's the end of measure 10 with the piano beginning on the A, which would be the second note of measure 11. Similar to the Bach. Maybe it's because, maybe I'm hearing it because of the Bach, I don't know. But it sounds nicer to me. Oh my goodness. You know what? I'm wondering, when I played it right there, I was letting the notes, the bass notes of each of these arpeggios, the first notes of each of these arpeggios starting on measure 11. Those were loud. The remainder 3 notes of each of the arpeggios were quiet. So I was hearing the rise, the F sharp to G to A to C. So I'm hearing, I'll do it slow. I'm hearing this. Is that a good thing? Bad thing? I don't know. But that's the way I'm playing it. I'm just bringing that up. Let's see. I still need to work on this. I feel like that's it's getting better. I mean, okay, so we'll leave it at that for now. So what did we talk about? Measure 3 and 4, you could play those quietly. You got a decrescendo at the end of measure 6, leading into measure 7. You got a crescendo at the halfway through. Sorry, you got a crescendo at the end of measure 7, the 4 notes leading up to measure 8. Decrescendo leading up to measure 9. And then measure 9, 10, measure 11, we have that piano that comes up out of nowhere. Boom. So that we can crescendo as we rise through those arpeggios. And we got a rit or rubato, so slow down at the end of measure 14. So that's what we have so far. Let's continue. I would let this 6-string ring just like in measure 4, 5 and 6. That's what I would do. Even though it's not, like in measure 16, it's not written in. There is no bass voice accounted for at all. So I would just let it ring. You could stop it if you want for some variety, but that's going to be entirely up to you, I think. Come on. I would do a slight crescendo there. I mean, you're going to hear the crescendo anyways. It's going to sound like a crescendo because you're playing some higher notes. You're going up in register. But I'm going to write it in anyways. So that's at measure 20 when you get to these 4 notes. Right there. So that's what I would do. Oh man, I feel like I'm practicing, like, I'm wondering if I've been practicing with a bunch of tension and not realizing it, because I'm like really tight right here. Or maybe I slept wrong. It's actually getting better. It was worse yesterday and the day before. Okay. So let's see. 14. Measure 15. Let's look down. Man, sloppy. It's frustrating. Yeah, those two measures, they're bracketed off. You can see right there. 19, 20, 22, and 23. Anyways, 19. That was pretty good. I do slow down there. Something to think about if you want to try that. I feel like those two, let's see, what can you do there? Nah, nothing really. What other choices can we make here? Back to 15. A little dirty there. I'm not stopping the E. I'm getting this. I want this. That's what I want. So you'll have to practice that. Or I should say I have to practice that. And all the fret buzzes. I'm like very inaccurate with my left hand. Notice I'm leaving this down the whole measure. Measure 19. See? That's just difficult. I gotta practice that more. All right, let's go to the next page. So I'm going to play the last measure of the previous page. Definitely some rubato there at the end of measure 29. I'll just put a small writ. I don't know if writ is going to be appropriate, but it's just a reminder. You could use that arrow that I was talking about earlier. Just write it facing or pointing from the right to the left. So you have a little pushback. Let's see. How am I going to play this musically? I'm playing it too fast. I think part of the reason I'm playing it faster than I should is because I want to hear it in as similar a context as I can to a performance. I want to hear what it would sound like in a performance context, I guess is what I'm saying. And then I feel like I can make better calls, better judgment calls on what I should do. Oh, okay. I'm playing those too quietly. I slow down there too. Excuse me. I slow down on the... Why? I don't know. It sounds good. I don't have all the answers. That one in particular just sounds right to me. So let's do that again. There's got to be a reason. I just don't know it yet. Maybe because I'm echoing the, this is kind of sequenced down. We have this. Call response. I think maybe I just want to emphasize the response. So there you go. There's some reasoning right there. Because I definitely try and say, I try not to make a decision based on it feels right. There's always got to be a reason it feels right. So I try and pinpoint that reason. Because then, without a reason, then you wouldn't have a reason to do anything else in anything. You wouldn't need a reason to play in any way, shape, or form any given piece. And then there's no foundation. You're just kind of, picturing yogurt. You just kind of, there's no form. Okay, let's do it again. Last measure of the first page. Wow, it's already 6:40. Okay, all right, we got to speed through this. Or, you know what? Let's not rush. Let's just take our time, and then I guess I'll finish the musical aspects the following week. And hopefully it'll be cleaner. what should I write down for measure 28? I'm actually doing a bit of vibrato too, so I'm gonna write that in too. Vib, dot, 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 and I guess I could write the word sit. My teacher used to tell me that, my professors. Sit on it. He would also say, milk it. That was Dr. Miranda. Dr. Masters, she never, what? She was probably the one that said sit on it. I don't know. But Dr. Miranda, he would say, milk it. So that's what I say. I guess I say both now. I do sit on that B, by the way. 25, 26, 27. I'm going to put a tenuto right above that B, that first B on measure 27. It's not an accent. It's not an accent. Just make sure you hold it for its full duration. Sit on. I'm making, these are disappearing. Slow it down. It'll get cleaner eventually. Even slow, see? That just means I need more practice. Okay, now here, really important, the slurs. I was paying a lot of attention to the slurs. This one. And I was using some motion in my hand. So you notice my whole hand is moving? It's not just my pinky, because that's difficult. I can't even reach if I don't move my hand. And it sounds kind of... So what I found that helps me is I lift this finger off, the middle finger. I think I talked about this last time. Let's see. The fingering for this particular measure, 33, A, I am. So A, I am, and then just alternate from there. And then 35 is similar, is this. But I go A, M, I. And that was confusing me. And then I realized, for measure 35, doesn't matter. Those first three notes don't matter. No, not. The first note should be with the ring finger, but the next two notes, again, I'm looking at measure 35. The G to the F sharp, it doesn't matter if you play MI or IM, because the next note is on the first string and you're going to use your ring finger. So you're going to have, it's a moment, it's a reset, right? That's a moment of reset. So I decided, you know what, let me just go ahead and play this measure. Let me start it the same way I started measure 33, AIM. That way there's no confusing. There's no confusion. Okay, this time I start here, this time I start with this finger, this time I start with that finger. So it's always going to be AMI. A-I-M. I just didn't update it. Let me update it now. So measure 35 is A-I-M. And that'll just kind of prevent any sort of confusion. I-M. Oops. Let me erase that. Keep it the same. All right, so let's start over from the middle section, 32. Hand is moving. So you get a nice clear slur there. Same thing, because that's a big stretch. 2 on the 4th string, 4 on the 7th, so on. Look at my hand. The whole hand is moving. It's not, it's hard. Oh, you can do it. This was actually easier to do with a still hand. Play that however you'd like, but the hand motion might help. Oops. And like I said earlier, A-I-M is totally fine because you're going to reset with that ring finger on the first note. There shouldn't be any issue there. That's why I have my tea. Okay, I'm gonna start here. Oh, I noticed I was doing this. Maybe some of you are coming across this too. I'm placing my bar down at the end of that note because you're going to have a bar for the next measure. The problem is I'm hearing this note when I play the next two notes and I don't want to. So I could stop it with my thumb, or I could place my third finger onto the, what fret is that? 12, 11, 10. The 9th fret, because I'm going to play that note as I climb back up the arpeggio, or as I climb back down that arpeggio. So. So I just want to bring that up. Bring that to your attention in case some of you are coming across the same thing. So let's do, I'm going to start over. Middle section, 32. Measure 32. Why did I stop? I'm trying to figure out if there's anything musical we can do to make it sound better, but I mean, it's flashy. Like I was saying earlier, it's technical. So the musical side of things, like, it's going to sound good regardless if it's clean. Let's see. What am I doing? You could get louder each time. Play that quieter. It's like that comes out of nowhere. Let's try that. This is what I'm talking about. I want to play it faster so I can hear it in context at a performable tempo, at a tempo that you would perform it at. It's just not ready. Let's see, I'm wondering if maybe you can start quieter. Yeah, back off on measure 31. Or you could do the opposite. That's entirely up to you, but I'm gonna see if this works. It's possible that that will change. Okay, I'm gonna write down the word sweeter, because you're going to a major key. So however you can define sweeter in terms of playing it, do that. Softer, warmer, rounder tone, light with the fingers. That might work. Why do I keep changing chords in the middle of my arpeggio? All I gotta do is keep my fingers down. Sorry, I'm just getting frustrated with myself. You could play that warmer. So you get loud, you get loud, you get loud, and then that'd be pretty nice. Hard to pull off, especially if you're trying to keep a certain tempo. But it'll sound really nice. It's not. Where am I? This is the problem with memorizing. I don't know where I left. Oh, there it is. I'm gonna put piano right here on measure 38, crescendo in measure 39, and then mezzo forte on measure 40, because we're hitting a 5 chord, right? So there's lots of tension being built. That's actually the 1 chord. Sorry, that's E minor, but it's in second inversion, so it's a very weak 1 chord because we're in E minor. And then here's the tension, and then there's the 5 chord. So 1 6 4 5 7, and that's like a cadential, like the way I was taught. That's like that in itself is a 5 chord movement. I guess I'm talking theory now. So you got your 5 6 4. That means your 1 6 4. That's your root chord in second inversion. So it's E, G, B. B's in the bass, 5th scale degrees in the bass of your E minor chord. Very weak 1 chord into the 5 7, into the 1. 1 6 4 to 5 to 1. So the 1 6 4 to 5, those 2 pairs of chords, that pair of chords acts as like its own cadential package. So that right there is the 5. Hopefully that makes sense. I gotta settle down. This is watch the rest. I even circled it, and then it starts over. And do it again. Let's do it again. All right. Slow it down. Yeah, I like that. There you have it. There's the middle section. All right, only one more section, the third section. And that's the beauty about this piece. It's simple, but it's difficult. And simple, you got beginning, middle, end. You can work on them separately, really nice and easy to section off. But then, eventually you got to put it all together. But, okay, so let's see what we can do here. This I believe I memorized because I played it so much. Here, in this particular chord, it's the E minor. I'm putting a lot of emphasis, this is a technical piece of advice, I'm putting a lot of emphasis on keeping my hand, this part of my hand, closer to the fretboard here. So I have more strength to hammer down the F sharp. It's an F sharp, yeah. I find that helps. Okay, because normally I would just be lazy and I would just kind of play like this. Right? But in this particular instance, really, really important. You got to get this note. By the way, if you're struggling with this section, this is how I practiced it. It's not really there yet, but this is how I've been practicing it. That's what I did. I didn't worry about the tempo. I just made sure the arpeggio was clean, the slur was strong, and the switch from one chord to the next was quick and correct, I guess you could say, without any fret buzzes. And then eventually, I'll be more comfortable and I can play it seamlessly. See, I don't know if I can yet. Let's see. No. Add a slower tempo, maybe? Not even. I don't know where I'm at. There it is. And then it starts over. Sort of. One chord is replaced. But again, that's how I was practicing it. Really, really important. The first note of each of these arpeggios needs to ring. The exception of the second chord, because you have to lift it off to get to this note. Still hear that A. Still hear the F sharp. Okay, keep that in mind. And then you just move on. Back to the E minor. This is all the same. Watch my tone. A bit of rubato there. 55. That's onto the third page. I'll change in a second here. I guess like a writ. I don't know. Dot dot dot. All right, let's go back. That's hard. That switch. The other's not so bad. Also, I do find it easier to play this chord by bending my fingers backwards. I don't know why. In particular, the third finger. I'm wondering if that's a bad thing. Maybe a crescendo there. I'll write that in for now. So that's the third page. Let me go ahead and change it to the third page. We're almost done. So that's going to be the second staff line. You see where it says watch tone? Yeah. Crescendo right there. Boom. And those first four notes would also follow that fingering. Pima. P-I-M-A. Oops. Wrong note. That might be a good measure 55, to really dig into the rubato, just because we're finishing it off. And really, you could really emphasize that return to the main motif. I think that measure. Remember when I told you at the beginning I was not playing it open? What was it? Where was that? You know what? Never mind. Let's not worry about that. Let me go back to the second page. So I'm going to play this again. Should I? I'll just play the second page. So I know we're on the third page, but I'm going to play these notes again, or these measures again. Sloppy, but that should probably just all be the same volume. I mean, it's all just tension. It's all just tension. There isn't... It's bubbling. I don't know if that makes any sense to some of you, but, you know, but nothing else is going on. So I'm thinking that should just all be played the same way. Cleaner. And then we have something's going on. It's funny because we have all of these harmonies, so those are nice, but at the same time, it doesn't sound like anything in particular is happening. Not until we get to this. If I can play it right. And then a tempo on measure 56. And we'll stop there. We'll get to the end next week. But that's most of it. So hopefully that helps those of you that are watching. If you have any questions, hit me up in the chat during the live stream, or obviously just, make a comment. Post a comment, I should say. So yeah, that's it. Thank you very much for stopping by. Don't forget to subscribe if you've been watching and have not subscribed yet. Subscribe, please. And if you'd like to make a small donation, there are going to be some links in the description. You can make a donation through PayPal, or you can subscribe to my Patreon for a small. I think I have a 2, 3, 5, or 3, 5, 10 different tier levels. Subscribe to any of those levels, whatever you feel is equal to the value of the content that I provide. All right, and I will see you all next week. Enjoy your weekend, and I'll leave it at that. Enjoy your weekend.